Greetings. In this video, I will talk about the steps I took to designing my first few 3D print tiles, likened to the kind you might find when playing many different types of tabletop games. This video will focus on the first two forest tiles I made. The one you see on screen started with the idea of a small, fallen tree that had been decaying into the ground for some time, with a few rocks and plants around it. Having grown up in the rural countryside, I drew upon my vast experience of tripping over sticks and logs. You get quite the view of the ground as it speeds up towards you. You will see here that I created 5 pillars. I did this because I wanted to make sure that any tiles that I make can have something like a character stand on them without falling, sliding, or otherwise being angled very oddly. So I created these pillars as reference points to keep myself from making any of those 5 locations too tall. I also made sure to turn them to wireframe in the viewport so they wouldn't get confusing or distracting while I worked. As for carving out the log, I just used the draw tool. I question as I write the script, not bothering to look it up. A lot. I simply switched between additive and subtractive, depending on what I needed it to do at any given moment. I also used the grab tool a fair amount to warp the object and pull parts into place. The snake tool I used for the branches that I pulled out of the base log. You will see me remesh a lot. I did this when I pulled the larger limb out of the log, so that way I could use another one of the tools, the inflate tool. It's pretty useful when using the snake tool without dynamic topology turned on. I just pull the limb, remesh, and have an even level of detail to work with, and inflate so that the limb is not extra thin. I ordered an extra thick limb. Extra thick guy! Moving on. The rocks were a whole nother challenge. Not just that I'm still quite new to sculpting in 3D, but also that I have to take into account the actual amount of detail that my printer will be able to print. And the end result shows that I still have a ways to go on really nailing this stuff. As mentioned earlier, the big rock in the center is to help with look and balance. I think it looks cool, and it helps to ensure that any character placed on it won't readily wobble. I do the same later with another rock and some dirt. However, the distinction between the two is not very obvious in the final print. Next up is the plant life. Honestly, not that difficult considering the print detail on something that small, which is actually why I haven't bothered making any grass. It's just too small to print. I have a few ideas on making grassy ground tiles in the future, but that will come when I get around to making a plains biome type of tile set. Anywho, with the plants, I just made a basic plant shape and called it good. I did some minor adjustments when it came to the size of each one that I placed, and I had to make sure that it wasn't too tall, but otherwise, I didn't have to detail it all that much. To my surprise, it actually came out better in the print than I had expected. I'm excited to eventually get myself some paint and get it primed and painted to see what the end result really looks like. Especially with the versatility of colors. I can take these prints and paint them in spring, summer, autumn, or winter colors. I'll be sure to make a video when I get around to it. For now, let us return to the subject matter at hand. As mentioned earlier, I figured that a shape like this would be easily noticeable even with the printing capabilities of my printer. So you will see me repurpose this greenery a lot. Making sure that the thickness of the leafy bits would print and not break was another thought I had running through my head. Also, the center. I just ended up using a sphere because I caught myself trying to get too detailed with it. I think it turned out for the best, though I honestly would like to revisit this now that I know how well my printer can print this stuff, and attempt something with a bit more character to it. You know what I mean. Now, I really don't have much more to say on the next tile. It is a simple tree limb. I used the same tricks as before and reused rocks and plants from the other tile. There are a few things I would like to cover, but those I will save for a video on failed prints and models. So feel free to sit back and relax as this thing I made unfolds before you. Here are the final results. They still need a little cleanup and some sanding, but I can't complain about the result pretty much straight off the printer. Now that the video end draws close, I would like to ask you all for your thoughts. What did you think of the models created? Was there anything in the video that you think I should have explained in more detail? If so, then feel free to leave your thoughts in that well-spoken of place, the comment section below. Take care, and good luck.